Aaron Rodgers has a couple of injuries that he's dealing with. We know about the broken thumb now. We didn't know about it a week or so ago. We, coincidentally or not, began to hear about the broken thumb after he played very poorly against the Titans on Thursday night, Week 11. He said yesterday on Pat McAfee's show that he got some good news after scans on his rib cage on Monday. It was that Sunday night injury. They originally called it an oblique. After the game, Rodgers said, no, it's ribs. He thought he had a punctured lung. He got good news. He plans on playing against the Bears. They have a bye week 14. And I'd like to think Jordan Love and the Packers could beat the Bears, especially if Justin Fields doesn't play again. I also think at some level Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to give Jordan Love the chance to go out there and play like he did the other night. There's a certain element of, I got to protect my job here. And Jordan Love's looking pretty damn good. Now, it was a limited sample size, but still, Love looked great the other night. And we talked about this yesterday, Myles, the sliding scale, the balance. You have a starter that's below 100%, and you have a backup that's at 100. At what point are you better off going with the fully healthy backup? And when you see what Jordan Love did, I don't know. This seems to me like a perfect opportunity to say, take the week off, then we have the bye. Then we make our decision after that. But I just don't think Aaron Rodgers wants to surrender that mantle. That's what Brett Favre did for years. He did not want to give anyone else a chance to do to him what he had done to Don Majkowski back in the 1992 season when Favre entered after Majkowski got injured, and Favre never looked back.
Yeah, and you know what? It's interesting, too, because Aaron Rodgers has just not performed at the level that kind of we expect to see from Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's back-to-back MVP, right? And Jordan Love, when he comes into that game, he looks ready. And that's kind of what the problem is. Jordan Love looks like he's ready. And objectively, if you take like a 30,000-foot view of the Packers right now, don't you want to see Jordan Love play before you have to make the decision on his fifth-year option in the spring? I mean, this is kind of the perfect opportunity for the Packers to get a real read on what Jordan Love can do if, for whatever reason, they wanted to shut down Aaron Rodgers for the rest of the season, right? I mean, right now, they've got the Bears, and they've got the bye, then they've got the Rams at home, they've got the Dolphins on the road, and then they've got the Vikings, and then they've got the Lions to end the season. So that's all three division rivals that you could potentially see Jordan Love play against. Just objectively, I would want to see that. Now, Aaron Rodgers doesn't want that to happen. Aaron Rodgers wants to keep playing. I get that. He's a competitor. Of course he wants to keep playing. But if you're the Packers, you started to plan for your future when you drafted Jordan Love. At some point, don't you kind of want to see him? And that takes away from all the particulars of everything. But I would want to see Jordan Love if I'm Green Bay.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And when Aaron Rodgers said Sunday night that he wants to keep playing until they're mathematically eliminated, there's a difference between being mathematically eliminated and, as a practical matter, done. And they're, as a practical matter, done. Mm-hmm. And you're not mathematically eliminated because we've got this, this tiniest of needle that maybe we can jam a piece of yarn through, and you can somehow, if you run the table and this happens, we're getting to that time of year where we get all the permutations. Right. It gets to a point where it just doesn't make sense. Now, if they beat the Bears, maybe there's a glimmer of hope, but even then, you have to acknowledge it's probably not going to happen. And maybe we need to see what we have in Jordan Love. And, the other problem, too, Myles, we talked about this yesterday. I wrote about it. It ended up being our most visited story yesterday at PFT. The fact that the Packers have spent 2 years worrying about Rodgers either wanting to play for a new team or retiring. Now they are morphing into worrying about him possibly wanting to keep going longer than they want him. And the problem next year, and someone just texted this to me, I've been trying to track down the details. $59.465 million fully guaranteed for next year is what they have to deal with Aaron Rodgers. Now, what do you do? How do you if he wants to be there, he's going to be there. You're paying him that money. You're not going to cut him. You're going to pay him that money whether he's there or not. You're going to bench him. You're going to let Jordan Love play, and you got your $60 million investment on the bench. And if you trade him, you take a gigantic cap hit, but you clear him off the books, I guess, like the Falcons did with Matt Ryan. You just bite the bullet and move on. But it's a tough situation for the Packers now, and it's something that they didn't envision, getting to the point where they're ready to move on, and Rodgers is not. And he's got the power via his contract to say, deal with me. And why would he retire? That's how, he talks about retirement all the time. You got $60 million in salary next year and option bonuses, fully guaranteed, however it's structured, it's $60 million he's going to make if he plays next year. That is a pretty strong magnet to get him to play one more year, Myles.
So would you pick up the 5th-year option on Jordan Love regardless of if you see him play or not? Because I mean, based on Aaron Rodgers' contract, I almost feel like you have to.
Yes? I think you have to. To. And if you pick it up, that means after 2023, Rodgers is done. However it plays out, he's done. And then we have the option year for Jordan Love to be the year where we figure out what we're going to do with him. It's kind of like it's going to be expensive, but it's less expensive. Here's why it's less expensive. They changed the formula a few years ago, and the number goes up the more you play and the more you do. If you have a guy that you've had on ice for most of his first 3 seasons, it keeps the option number lower. So actually it helps the Packers to not play. I'd have to research the formula. That's a fancy way of saying I don't currently know. But you can make the argument it helps the Packers to keep him on ice because there's a way that number can go up. And I don't know that he could do anything down the stretch that would affect that number, but the fact that he has hardly played, that keeps the number for the 5th-year option low. So that's what they should do. And then after 2023, that's just it. It's done. Everybody knows going in, this is it. And maybe that's the only way you could do it with a guy like Aaron Rodgers. Everybody knows starting 2023, this is the last dance. Remember he tweeted that image or put it on Instagram or whatever of him and Devontae Adams. He had no idea how right he was as it relates to Adams. But maybe we go into 2023 with, this is it. After this, it's Jordan Love. Let's enjoy it, and then we go our separate ways.
Yeah, and all of this just now as we talk about the contract and the $59 million and all of that, it kind of invalidates my entire point about wanting to see Jordan Love before you make the decision on the 5th-year option. So I guess, if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, you might as well play him because you have all that money guaranteed for him next year. So it kind of doesn't matter. And you've got to pick up the option on Jordan Love because you think that may or may not be your future, so it kind of doesn't matter whether he plays, though I still think from that 30,000 foot perspective, you'd like to see him and see what he can do.
And here's the other problem. And I mentioned this yesterday because I think they engineered Brett Favre's retirement in 2008 by going to him in February saying, we need an answer right now, because they knew what he was going to do. Dealing with Brett Favre is like dealing with a dog. Dealing with Aaron Rodgers is like dealing with a cat. And they have to just be very careful. And there's still a way that he decides on his own to retire, that I'm done. But they can't act like they want him to retire. They have to they have to tiptoe around him. Somebody told me when he was on McAfee yesterday, he had a Rubik's Cube behind him. He likes to send these stupid-ass messages. And I think he's smart enough to know. He's not smart enough to know 9/11 happened, apparently, but he is smart enough to know. But I digress. But he is smart enough to know that the Packers feel like they may have to outsmart him here, and that adds a layer of drama and intrigue to it that could make things very interesting as the offseason approaches. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.